This place used to be an actual black market, now it's turned into the wildest bazaar in Mongolia. I'm going to show you around Narantuul in Ulaanbaatar. On the way in there are quite a few people singing and playing music from speakers, you can probably hear it. Let's go through the big gate at the front and you can buy basically anything here if you know where to look. So as you'd imagine, a huge part of the market is devoted to clothes. You can get traditional Mongolian clothes, you can get obviously more modern Western clothes, and you can even try things on and look in the mirror. Now you'll quickly realise there are a lot of items for sale that are to do with traditional Mongolian life. So I think these are actually milk churns for storing the milk from your livestock in. And then we've got traditional kind of metal things, amulets and tools. And then we've got archery gear and other similar things. By the way, when you're here, you're meant to guard your pockets at all times. I've heard pickpockets are on the loose. I was fine, but I've heard that other people got things nicked here. And then we have a stall here selling CDs, all different genres. I imagine it's the kind of place where people still do listen to CDs. And then this was cool, there was a really strong smell of pine coming from here. I think it's stuff for shamanic rituals and incense burning and things like that. Different plant powders and things like that. Obviously, you can buy big rugs for your yurt or for your ger, that's what they call it here. And then there are bags, leather bags, and it's funny to see that man bags have even made it all the way over here. And then you can get traditional Mongolian headwear for the really cold winters. It's really busy and bustling. You've got stalls selling really useful things for when you're out in the wilderness, like binoculars and torches, and then the traditional Mongolian instrument. I've forgotten the name for it, but you've probably seen that before. Very famous here in Mongolia. You can buy a safe if you want for storing your valuables, and then this area is really cool. This is where I guess you buy the parts to build your ger. I think that's the bit that goes right at the top in the center, and then you can buy other materials like, well, material and tarpaulins and mats and things like that. There's a lot of knockoff stuff. I think those t-shirts were Balenciaga, but they didn't look real. And then people wandering around selling foods, like I think that's a really hard type of cheese. There aren't actually that many shops selling snacks and foods and things like that, to be honest. I expected there to be some stalls selling fresh hot food, but there weren't really any. This area was for fishing rods, quite popular and busy, this area. And then when it comes to food, I did find this area which has kind of permanent shops, you know, concrete buildings, and you can go in. So they're just normal shops selling fruit and veg and anything else you might need. I went in one because I did need some tofu, and I found some Mongolian tofu in the fridge, and then took it over to this lady. I think she was on the phone. And then she showed me the price on the calculator. Wasn't too expensive, it was less than £2 for 2 blocks of tofu. And then on the way out there was another guy singing and kind of busking, collecting money. But yeah, hopefully that's given you a really good insight into the kind of thing you can get at the black market here in Ulaanbaatar. I could only show you a taster, but it's definitely worth visiting for a real taste of Mongolia if you're in this area. And to finish off, here's some traffic ambience from Ulaanbaatar. It's carnage at times.